Let's go!
What's up, everyone? This is Jason.
And this is Will. Today's match features Wolfe and Thagrosh.
And today we're doing a Steamroller 2023 match. We're playing on Spread the Net. We do have a hill at the center. We have a trench in the lower left. We have two forests, one in the top, one in the bottom, an acid pool, and a wall. I do win the die roll, and I decide to go first. Just basic deployment here. Going first is always, pretty self-explanatory when it comes to turn one. But I'll go ahead and talk about my list. I'm bringing Wolfe, and I have two coursers. One of them has an arc node, heavy Stormthrower, and the Voltaic punching spike. The other has the same weapons but a shield guard head. I have a Stryker with Relentless charge, Voltaic Halberd, and heavy mag bolter. And then I got the general. And then I'm just rolling with a whole bunch of units, 2 Stormblades and Flags, 2 Storm Guards, Tempest's Sailors, Arcane Mechanics, and 2 Officers with Eiryss. I'm bringing Careful Reconnaissance, Old Faithful, Power Swell, Savagery, and True Inspiration. How about you, Will?
Here we're seeing me deploying on the right side. I'm playing Thagrosh, Thagrosh2 in Dragon's Host. Battle group is an Angelius, a Naga Nightlurker, a Scythian, 4 Shredders, a Stinger, and Typhon. I have 2 Shepherds, 2 Forsaken, 1 unit of Rotwings, and 2 Hellmouths. And then for command cards, I have Breakthrough, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, Infiltration, and Power Swell.
All right, cool. So yeah, like I said, turn one here, I'm just going to start running all of my models up the board, going first, trying to get as much advantage with covering as much part of the board as I can. I do throw up lightning tendrils on one of the Stormblade units, and I believe I casted... I think I put Snipe up on one of the coursers. Yep, I put Snipe up on the courser towards the lower half of the screen. But yeah, I'm just running my units up, checking measurements, checking Will's threat. He does threaten pretty far on some of his models. I think we're about the same in threat. Aren't we about the same, like 13, 12 threat range?
Yeah, so we're like a pretty static threat. Your units, I think, with the Desperate Pace, have a slight threat advantage. Like that 13-inch threat is kind of where I kind of cap out at. Like Angelius threatens 12, Scythian threatens 11, and then like Tytan walk shoots for 14.
Yeah, so pretty.
So there's like a little bit of a dance going on there. So here on my turn one, basically I set this up so that the 2 Hellmouths are in the forest. The large base main body of the Hellmouth is I set up in the middle of the forest, so both of them are within 3 inches of the forest, so they can't be seen without touching the forest. I put the tendrils in front of them, which they can be seen, but the idea is that these small base units, if they charge the tendrils, they won't have immediate line of sight to the Hellmouths or Thagrosh. And I just throw Thagrosh right behind the 2 big Hellmouths as well, so that he's not going to be able to, be seen behind the 2 unless one of the Hellmouths, like the large Hellmouths, gets cleared. I know I throw up Decel and Aggravator up on Thagrosh. I run the Angelius up to the trench on that bottom right hand side of the screen. And my War Beast and and my support units and Rot Wings, I'm just kind of skirting, I'm skirting that 13-inch threat range that you have. I end up putting the Naga Night Lurker up on the top side in the zone, outside of Thagrosh control range. This is something that I think we'll talk about more throughout the match, but I actually, in post, we talked about how I feel like it was actually pretty poor placement. This first turn, I wasn't really worried about being outside of control range. There's a Shepherd behind it, so it ran up while it was in control range, and the Shepherd walks up and takes the Fury off so that it doesn't have any chance for Frenzy. And the idea is that it's behind the forest, so it can't be seen. It's not going to get charged. And at the start of my turn, I can walk forward into Thagrosh's control range and shoot. But because of just the way the game goes, it doesn't really work out as I was planning. But I throw one bird forward just to kind of be a threat. I'm probably going to lose it, but in the case that it lives, it could put me in a really good spot. Very unlikely, but birds are pretty cheap, so.
Yeah, so on my turn here on top of 2, funnily enough, we kind of played this matchup before, and when we played that matchup, I remember concentrating on the Hellmouths because I was a little bit worried that I wasn't going to be able to play Scenario very well against them, thanks to their, I think it's Impervious Flesh, and they have the main Hellmouth piece has a decent amount of armor. So here, I'm thinking through the turn, and I'm like, you know what, I really kind of want to get rid of the Hellmouth, and I think it was a very risky trade, or at least on my end, because I decided to go with the General. So right here, I'm just clearing like a path for the General to just run up and be in front of the tentacles.
If I remember correctly, you use Eiryss to walk up and shoot the one tentacle out, so to make that landing spot for the General.
Yeah. I think I didn't use another piece too to try to make a. I used something else to also shoot one of the tentacles. I was basically just trying to create a landing path where I can run the General up and then just give him positive charge and just jackhammer the 2 Hellmouths off the table. In hindsight, though, I don't know if it was really worth it. I mean, the General is 17 points and Hellmouth is only 6 points, so 12 points for 17 points. It probably wasn't the best trade, but like I said, I was just worried the entire time if I didn't get rid of the Hellmouth, that I wouldn't be able to play Scenario very well on the next turn.
Yeah, I think the Hellmouth is kind of my that piece is what kind of keeps this game honest, as far as you have that slight that 1-inch out threat on me with the Desperate Pace, and Hellmouth is kind of my piece that makes you play a more honest game, because if the Hellmouth stays on the table, I get to do some drags, and then that threat extension of those drags is what can put me in a position to kind of run over the game.
Yep, so here I go now. I go ahead and run the General up, and kind of planning on how I'm going to be able to either get Wolf up there, or if I'm going to use the Arcnode Courser in order to shoot over positive charge.
I do think that's what happens, is you end up using the Courser to shoot the Snipe Courser to shoot the tentacle, and you didn't move it up far enough in order to be able to Arcnode through it.
Yeah.
So that's why you end up having to move Wolf up a little bit to get in range for casting Jackhammer.
Yeah. So I go ahead and spend pretty much all my focus just jackhammering off those Hellmouths. I think I missed one time, or I didn't do enough damage one of the times. But I end up feeding here also with Wolf on top of 2s. I know next turn it's gonna start getting a little wild, as it does on turn 2 on bottom of 2. So I'm just preparing here. I'm also checking out threat ranges. I really don't want to get Threshered by Scythian. That's one of the things I was also concerned about, because the last game that me and Will played, he was able to just capitalize with Threshers into my units under Wolf Feet, which sucks because I only end up getting one Wolf Feet activation because of the simultaneous Thresher
Yeah,
attacks.
I think I killed like a unit and a half with the first Thresher the last game that we played.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was very wild. See on this
I do.
side, go. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I do think that you do a pretty good job of, um, making my Tytan activations pretty limited.
Yeah, I mean he does get a lot of work done coming into this next turn. He gets a decent amount of work done. He does clear a couple of units if I remember, but here I'm just trying to. At first I was trying to figure out if I was just gonna run my blades over, or I mean my Halberd unit, the Storm Guards, to see if I can jam you. But instead I end up using the captain to give him Repo 3 and trying to make a way where you get less of a spray with the Typhon. So that's why I end up using my blades there. I walk them up and then I Repo 3 to try to get less angles. But regardless, the way I place my units here, because I want to make sure I'm getting shield wall up and everything, it didn't really matter too much me doing that. But I do end up getting that far Storm Guard as close to Scythian as possible to keep him engaged. So I did end up doing that.
Which definitely causes a little bit of a order of activations problem for me. Right, you're also tying up the one rot wing in the front.
Yeah, that as well. I think I end this turn by putting I put True Inspiration up on the Stormblade unit that's right on the hill, just in case Scythian does get to him. I have something to hold the zone a little bit for next turn. I'm trying to keep as many models as I can to try to play the scenario game later now that I got rid of the Hellmouth. I end up using Power Swell that turn also, but that's pretty much the rest of the turn. I just kill a couple rocks and then I pass over to Will.
Yeah, so I upkeep. I think I decide to upkeep deceleration, or not deceleration, aggravator on my turn 2 here. And going into turn 2 here, since you feeded, I'm trying to figure out the best order of activations to kill stuff with either simultaneous attacks or using the shredders to get snacking, to limit the number of times you get to proc your feet. I also am, playing a little bit of a tricksy game here because, I'm doing some weird activation order movements to try and bait you to use your feet to shoot one of my heavies. That way I can get a free movement off of aggravator. But you do a pretty good job of not falling for it. I don't think there's at any point where I get an aggravator movement off. I end up starting with Thagrosh over here. I throw out Manifest Destiny. I feet, and he's going to clean up he's going to work to clean up the general here. I don't remember if I take it out immediately with Thagrosh, but I definitely put a big dent into it.
Oh yeah, no, you definitely get a lot of damage in on him. I think he survives only with like 5 or 6 boxes.
I think there was also a small. So I end up moving Thagrosh a little bit before I start attacking. I think part of what I was going for, as you saw the laser line go over the models a minute ago, was that I think there was a very small chance for a potential assassination here if I hit the stationary on Wolf with the Thagrosh spray. I end up not getting it, but it was pretty low odds as it was. So from there, I think I popped my hit and run card to move Thagrosh back after he pumps damage into the general. And here is where I start going big on the think tank, trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be activating first. Obviously, I lost both the Hellmouth units to the jackhammers from the general on your turn. So, getting the drags to make my order of activations easier is not on the table. I end up starting over here with a Shredder to clean up the Storm Guard that's engaging the Rotwing and the Scythian. You know, Scythian, not Scythian, Shredders have snacking, so we get to remove from play and ignore Wolf Feet proccing. But yeah, here I do spend a lot of time in the tank. I think there was some thought I had as far as the Angelius is going to probably go in and kill the objective, because I believe I set up Angelius positioning. Yeah, here it is. Yep. So Angelius goes in, Manifest Destiny up, makes initial attacks into the objective. I think it ends up like on 1, and I have to buy another attack into it to clear it. And then from there, I'm kind of debating if I'm going to keep going into the unit. I did proc feet this turn, so depending on what I'm able to clear up, if I can make enough of a landing spot for, you know, more of my models, once I get that advance, like if there's enough of a pocket around Wolf for all my models, I think there's a potential for me to assassinate with feet attacks at the end of my turn. So that's kind of where I'm deciding is like, what models am I going to try and scalpel out? Here you have feet movement going on. I think you'd think about shooting the Angelius for a second, and then decide against it because target and melee bonus.
Yeah.
Target and melee puts me up to defense 18, pretty unlikely to hit. I think you need boxcars.
Yeah, it's especially hard with the Stryker. He only rat 6, and unfortunately, a lot of these feet movements and shots end up getting wasted. Unfortunately, I think I only had maybe 2 or 3 that really mattered, but a lot of them were just me moving some of the jacks around. I know I moved the Stryker in the back up a couple inches from one of the feats, just so that I can kind of put pressure on Thagrosh. If by chance next turn I'm able to clear out a zone, I can just run and jackhammer. But a lot of the feat attacks either end up missing from my Stryker, because I was trying to use them to kind of clear up some of the smaller models. But yeah, you can continue.
Yeah, I think I actually think you're. Well, I don't think it was like necessarily the best feat turn for you. You did end up taking a lot of shots, or not shots, but I think I get ready to. So right here, I activate one Shredder. I think I run one because it didn't have line of sight, and then the other one charges, make some attacks into the general. Shredders are only POW 10, but with flank and Manifest Destiny, on the charge, you're rolling 5 dice, drop the lowest. On a POW 10, still not bad necessarily. So I'm getting a couple more chip damages in with the Shredders. Here, it looks like I start for the Scythian. And here's where I was about to go with this was, the Scythian goes in. The Scythian uses Slaughterhouse Animus to get Grievous Wounds. So the models in the unit that you put the True Inspiration command card on, I'm going to ignore that tough. So I, do a charge, hit the Thresher. I believe my charge target actually was one of the models in the unit because I didn't have line of sight to the general because you moved it with the feet movement, which was actually, I don't know if that was intentional on your end, but it was ended up being pretty good. But these attacks that you end up making with the general into the Scythian end up putting a really big dent into the Scythian. You don't knock out any systems until I think the last attack after it was done. But you end up leaving it on like 4 or 5 boxes, so it just goes down like immediately at the start of your turn.
Yeah, I got a decent amount of damage off. It's always tough against Legion because I know a lot of the pieces have hyper regen and regen, so I wanted to capitalize and get a little bit of chip damage, so at least I could soften them up with maybe the units before I activate anything else next turn.
Yeah, and obviously I end up going pretty hot here. I believe I, max out 4 Fury on the Angelius. I do the same thing with the Scythian. But both the Forsaken are hugging that bottom side. So the one Forsaken moves up to the flag and pulls the 4 Fury off of the Angelius. And the other one is going to kind of hang out in the forest or behind the forest where it can't be seen and pull the 4 Fury off of the Scythian. It looks like I'm getting ready to activate Typhon here because I ended up clearing him up from the. I don't remember if he actually got engaged or not, but I have a landing space for him over here where the unit is.
Nah, he was a little bit too far, so I wasn't able to engage him. So he does get a good positioning here to get some sprays off.
So I make my first. I think I charge to get into that position. Thagrosh or Typhon only being range 1 means that I don't get to make my other initial melee attacks, but I make my first spray, and end up buying 2 more. I think the sprays ultimately don't really do that much right here, but there was no harm in trying. I don't think I boost. I think I just go for just trying to raw roll out damage on and to hit on the sprays. I think I'm only rat 5, so I need 8s. So, and with putting up excessive healing and charging, it only leaves me 2 Fury to spend or to throw on the Titan. So I spend those 2 Fury for buying the sprays rather than trying to boost anything. I believe Thagrosh is camping 2 here. Here's where I was kind of talking about earlier, where my positioning with the Naga was really poor because ultimately, because of my movement with Thagrosh and hit and running backwards to try and maintain that distance to keep you from being able to just run your Stryker in and jackhammer Thagrosh to death with positive charge. The Naga ends up not being able to move into control range of Thagrosh, so I kind of have to rely on it to just roll flat dice without the ability to boost, and so it doesn't do anything. It just kind of sits there holding down the zone. I move the Shepherd on the top side and onto the corner of the zone at the edge of the forest, putting it into position to run to your flag. If I'm able to clear it up next turn, just kind of setting that up. Here, I think we're going into feet movement at the end of my turn. The Scythian moves in and takes out one of the mechanics. I think the Shredders move in and eat a couple more guys.
Yeah, and I go ahead and take my feet movement and get Wolf in there, and he ends up making a couple of attacks. Unfortunately, when I move Wolf, I actually left a landing pad for Angelius.
For the Angelius. So earlier during the Angelius activation, I believe what I did was I killed 1 or 2 of the models in the unit over there, and I ended up sidestepping to be able to get in range of the Courser, and I believe I put a dent into the Courser, and then here when I move into that pocket that Wolf left, I think I just make my attack into the Courser to continue to put damage into it, hopefully knock out a system or 2.
Yeah, you do end up getting good damage into him, and you take out his arm, I remember.
Yeah. So, but I finish up my feet movement. Typhon moves in, attacks another guy. The Shredders move up, eat more of the guys in the probably in that. I think actually I moved the shredders into the mechanics because you end up using the mechanics kind of as the body block for Wolf on that previous turn. So they're kind of just standing out front in the open. So that's where I end up throwing a lot of those attacks.
Yeah. So on there, on that bottom of 2, you do end up scoring 2, and everything that I have is contested, so I ended up scoring nothing. Unfortunately, I forgot to put the officer base to base of the flag on the last turn. But here I start out my turn just using the blades to try to get rid of some of these shredders because I know that they can definitely, if you just leave them on the board long enough, they will find a way of just eating out everything. And they did a lot of work last turn on my feet turn by just eating up a lot of my units and me not being able to get any of my my feet movements. So I ended up taking out a couple of them. I know that.
Yeah, you take out the 2 down on the bottom side, basically immediately, with a unit of Stormblades.
Yeah.
Between the POW 12 Electroleaps and I believe the swords are POW 12 or POW 13.
Yeah, they're also PAL 12.
Yeah, so your dice off 1. Each basically each Storm Guard or Stormblade activation is rolling dice off 1 against each shredder, and the shredders only have 13 health. So between the whole unit, you're able to clear the 2 shredders with just the initials and the Electroleaps.
Yeah, and then here I just use the Stryker of his pole arm. I just walk up and just try to get some damage in into Typhon. He does excessive healing a couple times. I think he heals like 2 or 3, and then the Electroleaps end up doing some damage as well on some nearby. I think he had a couple shredders up there too.
Yeah, the shredders are up there as well. Yeah, so the 4 shredders, they're kind of split. 2 in that central zone and 2 like leading into the zone in the lower left.
Yeah, and Eiryss also gets in there as well. I end up charging into one of the shredders, take it out with her first initial, take out another shredder for second initial, and then I end up using her gun to shoot one of the rocks or the birds. The rocks, right?
Yeah, the bladed rotwings.
Yeah, the bladed rotwings. And then there, I know that Scythian was left with a little bit, and I think I end up attacking him with Wolf. Wolf puts in a decent amount of work there and gets a blood quench.
So you go with Wolf and kill the Scythian. Like I said, it was only on 4 or 5 boxes, I think, and with that you get to proc blood quenched and get your +1/+1. So then you're like, I think you positive charge yourself as well, so you're like Mat 10.
Yeah, Mat 10 and then POW 17 on both initials.
So yeah, so you're not, you're rolling not double ones to hit on the Angelius. And the Angelius kind of relies on its defense to
to survive. Yeah,
to survive. It's a pretty paper thin model for a heavy.
Yeah, and I didn't think it's armor 16, right?
No, it's armor 17, but it's only 25 boxes. A normal heavy usually in the 30 box range.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the rest of my turn here just ends up I run my top officer to the flag so I can get that point. I end up running the courser on the top. I just run into your zone so that way you can't score where your Naga is. And then one of the key things about this turn that I reflected back on, I was kind of disappointed, is the courser on the bottom tries to make a shot at the Forsaken that's on your flag, but I forget to boost to hit, so I end up missing. I roll like a 1 and a 2, and I was really sad about that because if I could have eliminated that would have saved me some grief on the next turn because you're
so this
up.
Turn here is we're going straight into it because I see this opportunity immediately that the Forsaken lives. So Forsaken walks up and does the Blight Shroud. It has 4 Fury on it from the previous turn, so everything within 5 inches of taking a POW 8, and you have 2 units loaded up right here. You have the Courser with a focus on it, and Wolf with 2 focus on him, all within that 5 inches. So for every focus point, I get extra die on damage for the damage roll. So POW 8 not that much, but I'm rolling 3 dice against the Courser, 4 dice against Wolf, so I end up getting a little bit of damage into Wolf and some damage into the Courser. I move Thagrosh up onto the flag. Again, my goal here is to try and hit Wolf with the crit stationary on the spray. I end up not getting it again, but I kill another couple models. But here, with the loss of the Angelius and the Scythian and all the Shredders, I'm running out of models. My volume of attacks is pretty low now, so I kind of feel like I have to get an assassination here to win the game. I don't think I'm really able to put enough pressure on the board with what I have left to grind it out on scenario. So from here, I'm kind of thinking out, having missed the crit stationary on the spray. I think right here I'm kind of talking about boosting a Scourge, but I think we end up deciding that, or I end up realizing that I can't do that. I don't remember. I'm not really sure what I do here.
I remember you were trying to clear a path in order for Typhon to get to Wolf.
Right.
And I think one or two units end up surviving, and you're not able
so
to...
here I go. Yeah, so here I go with the Rot Wings. The Rot Wings end up clearing up the models that I need them to in order to make this space for Typhon, and they end up repositioning. So the one Rot Wing goes base to base with Wolf to give them the -1 defense debuff, and then Typhon goes over to walk over and go for the crit pitch. I end up hitting it, and I end up casting Manifest Destiny. That's what I end up doing with that focus.
Yeah, but you did end up clocking right before the Typhon was able to get in. But if you did, if you did have the time, you would definitely have got it. I think it was only on 2 focus. I ended up using both of them that turn. So any other model probably could have came in and finished him off.
Yeah, so the way that the Typhon was lined up, I ended up being able to hit the crit pitch on the first initial to get the knockdown, and then from there we're auto-hitting POW 17s. So, but definitely had a good game. Look forward to doing this again.